and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway.
So what do? They stop all the primaries. They don't have real primaries anymore. They haven't had a real primary since 2012.
Yeah.
They rig them. They rig it with Bernie Sanders. They rig it with RFK Jr. They're just, the whole business is gross.
White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt recently made headlines following a heated exchange with the press, during which she alleged serious misconduct involving former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Leavitt claimed that Pelosi manipulated systems for personal financial gain, referencing long-standing rumors about stock-related controversies. The remarks sparked immediate reaction, as the scale of the accusations appeared more extensive than previously suggested. Video clips from the press briefing are circulating widely, fueling renewed debate around political ethics and accountability.
Have you talked with the president at his position on the stock trading ban bill before Congress? He obviously had pretty loaded comments about Senator Hawley. There's some reporting that they've since spoken. What is his position on the current status?
The press briefing turned tense when a group of reporters tried to corner White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt over Senator Josh Hawley's proposed bill to ban insider trading by elected officials. Their aim seemed clear: spark controversy between Leavitt and former President Trump, especially in light of recent tensions between Trump and Hawley, who had publicly clashed over accusations of political disloyalty. Reporters were clearly hoping for a soundbite-worthy stumble. But Leavitt held her ground. With poise, clarity, and characteristic intensity, she sidestepped the media trap and refocused the conversation on policy. While the press came looking for drama, Leavitt delivered control, focus, and a sharp rebuke of partisan theatrics.
The president has spoken to Senator Hawley, who called him, and the president took that call. As the president said in the Roosevelt Room yesterday, conceptually, he of course supports the idea of ensuring that members of Congress and United States senators who are here for public service cannot enrich themselves. And
Karoline's opening move completely dismantled the media's manufactured drama. She swiftly shut down rumors of any conflict between Senator Hawley and President Trump. With her trademark sharpness, she clarified the facts. Hawley had simply called Trump directly to explain the bill's true intent, to crack down on insider trading by those in power. There was no betrayal or backstabbing, just a straightforward conversation. And here's the twist: Trump understood and gave the bill his full support. So much for the rift the media was eager to highlight. But Karoline didn't stop there. With the air cleared, she launched a fierce critique, not only exposing the media's obsession with inventing GOP discord but also calling out Nancy Pelosi over her controversial stock market gains.
the reason that this idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year.
Whoa. Now that's the kind of shady business that deserves front-page headlines. Just imagine the kind of advantage someone can gain with access to insider information behind closed doors, all thanks to their privileged seat in Congress. For context, the average stock might grow 7% to 10% a year if you're lucky and patient. But Nancy Pelosi's portfolio? It didn't just beat the market, it skyrocketed by 70%. 70%. That's not savvy investing, that's suspiciously extraordinary. And she's not fooling anyone. Karoline Leavitt finds it just as shocking and infuriating because while everyday Americans work hard, save, and hope for modest returns, the political elite seem to be playing by a completely different set of rules. This isn't just unfair, it's a slap in the face. And Karoline isn't about to let it go. She's keeping the pressure on Pelosi.
And her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway.
Meanwhile, these Democrats preach socialism from their marble thrones, presenting themselves as champions of the poor while secretly coveting the wealthy and scheming to tear them down, not out of justice, but pure envy. They don't despise wealth itself, they despise not having total control over it. This is the same crowd that drapes themselves in the banner of equity and fairness, all while using social causes as a smokescreen to quietly pad their own bank accounts. As Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's salary alone could fund a lavish lifestyle by any measure. But that wasn't enough. Greed whispered in her ear, and she leaned in to listen. Because for them, it's never about serving the people, it's about serving their portfolios.
So I think the president stands with the American people on this. He doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. As for the mechanics of the legislation and how it will move forward, the White House continues to be in discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill.
The whole point of the Honest Act is crystal clear: stop greedy politicians, especially Democrats eager to follow Nancy Pelosi's playbook, from turning public office into a personal gold mine. These officials didn't swear an oath to their stockbrokers, they swore it to the American people. Yet time and again, they treat public service like a VIP pass to private fortune. Enough is enough. This bill is a long overdue punch to anyone who thinks power is a shortcut to profit. Honestly, it's one of the smartest legislative moves in years. If it passes and is properly enforced, it could finally put the brakes on the toxic trend of turning government jobs into Wall Street launchpads. Public office isn't a hustle, it's a duty.
Yes, the whole system is so corrupted. And it's so obvious, like, we're at a stage where, like, we have enough information to see, like, that how much greed and money just corrupts the system.
Well, I don't think we really got to see it until Trump ran. I think you got to see it unveiled in a way when Trump ran that you never got to see before.
Joe Rogan nailed it when he said that without Trump in the race, we might never have uncovered much of the political rot festering in Washington, like Nancy Pelosi's questionable stock deals. And he's right. Say what you will about Trump, but he tore the mask off the establishment and shone a spotlight on issues they never expected. He broke their control over the narrative. Suddenly, Americans began asking uncomfortable questions. Rogan was ready to dive into the details, but even before that, one thing was clear: Trump didn't just shake up politics, he set off a bomb under the old system. Love him or hate him, he dragged plenty of skeletons out of the closet, and we're all better off because of it.
I think you got to see it unveiled in a way when Trump ran that you never got to see before. Because also you got the rise of independent journalism that happens at the same time.
Yeah.
So you have people that report just on the facts, not like this CNN lean or the Fox News lean, but just reports on exactly what's happening and how it happened.
Exactly. That's the Trump effect in overdrive. He didn't just sidestep the legacy media, he exposed them for what they really are. Instead of begging for airtime on networks tangled up with the political elite, he went straight to independent outlets and podcasters who let him speak without a filter. He saw the game for what it was: legacy media wasn't reporting the news, it was managing the narrative. Behind the scenes, executives and anchors clinked glasses with politicians at glittering dinners, cutting unwritten deals. In exchange for access and exclusives, they conveniently looked the other way when their political pals got caught red-handed. It was a slick quid pro quo: you cover for us, we'll give you the scoop. Trump blew that cozy arrangement to smithereens by bypassing the gatekeepers entirely. He put the mic back in the people's hands and made it impossible for the establishment to hide in the shadows. That's why they hated him, because he dragged their dirty laundry into the daylight.
If you're paying attention and you follow those people, and a lot more people are than ever before, you get a way different understanding of how gross this game is.
Yeah.
And because the guy was so polarizing, and because he was such an easy guy to turn into a, like you pointed to him, you're like, this is him. Look at the way he talks.
Yeah.
He's gonna ruin the world. It's a threat to democracy.
That's exactly what they did to Trump because he refused to play their dirty game. He had zero interest in rubbing elbows with the Nancy Pelosi's of Washington. No backroom deals, no scratching each other's backs, no becoming just another cog in the DC machine. For that, he became public enemy number one. The legacy media, deeply entwined with the political elite, launched an all-out smear campaign. If they couldn't control him, they'd try to crush him. They dug through every corner of his life, his businesses, personal history, even his TV career, desperate to find anything to spin into scandal. Their mission was clear: wreck his reputation, block his presidency, and slam the door behind him. But it backfired spectacularly. The harder they came after him, the more people saw the sham for what it was. Instead of burying him, they built a political powerhouse. Trump didn't just survive their witch hunt, he thrived. And that's what keeps them up at night.
So what do? They stop all the primaries. They don't have real primaries anymore. They haven't had a real primary since 2012.
Yeah.
They rig them. They rig it with Bernie Sanders. They rig it with RFK Jr. They're just, the whole business is gross.
Exactly. Democrats love to climb on their soapbox and preach about moral superiority, democracy, and justice. But their actions tell a very different story. They posture as the nation's moral compass, wagging fingers from an imaginary high ground. Scratch beneath the surface, though, and it's pure hypocrisy. These are the same people who shout about protecting democracy, yet their party hasn't held a legitimate primary since 2012. Let that sink in. A party named after democracy doesn't even trust its own voters to choose their nominee. Instead, they run it like a private club, hand-picking favorites while pretending it's all for the people. If Republicans pulled half these stunts, it would dominate headlines for weeks. But when Democrats do it, silence. It's classic, do as I say, not as I do. And honestly, it's an insult to every American who believes in free and fair elections. In the end, it's all smoke and mirrors. They parade as champions of the people, but behind closed doors, it's just power plays, backroom deals, and self-enrichment. They lecture us on democracy while denying it within their own ranks. They attack Trump because he blew the whistle on their hypocrisy and refused to join their club. That's why they fear him, because he doesn't play their rigged game, and he never will.